Good afternoon here from Vienna. Good morning in
Oh,
America. Hello, Robert.
how are you?
I'm finding you.
I'm doing really well. I'm
Good.
doing really well. Thank you. I think I told you, but I'm in mountain time. So I'm in Boise, Idaho, small city in Western America, US. And
Mhm.
I'm here doing a summer camp and I start 1 hour from now every morning. So I have to get up early every morning. So it doesn't matter. It works.
Oh, I see. Okay. What is this? What is this summer camp about?
So it's called the Idaho Orchestra Institute. And a friend of mine and I started it 5 years ago. And
Mhm.
we spend 1 week with high school and university students studying one piece. And so we do a symphony over the course of a week, but we study the complete artist. So we do yoga, meditation, stretching, of course, rehearsals and sectionals, score reading sessions. We do as much as we can to give the students a composite idea of the entire piece of music. And it's so much fun. It's a great, there's nothing like it in this area of the country. And
Yeah.
so students really sort of gravitate towards it. But last week, so I conduct an orchestra here in Boise called the Boise Baroque Orchestra. And we did our first ever conductor soloist training workshop. So we had 8 conductors and 7 soloists from around the United States, and they all came to study for a week. And
Mhm.
so it's been back-to-back festivals for 2 weeks, which has been really
I
fun.
see. And now these students that you teach, they are all music students.
Yes. Well, this week for the high school and university, they all play instruments, of course, but they're not all going into music school. Some of them, are civil engineer students or whatever. So they study all
Oh,
sorts of things.
yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't this amazing that they do that? And that you have such a project, because I think this is what I was talking a lot about, and this is the music education, and not just for children who want to become musicians, but also for people who are just, or children who are just interested in music, to educate them in music.
It's true. And, for me, Petra, and for my colleagues who I do these 2 camps with, it's really important that we think about the entire artist and not just can you play the notes fast enough or can you play all the, whatever. But, for me, music was a gateway into understanding life and lots of things. And so I want to share that with these students that, like, even if you don't become a professional conductor or a professional musician, that by studying music, you
Mm.
can understand all sorts of things, which actually is kind of where this commission came from as well. But yeah, so when I teach my conducting students, the ones I had last week, we not only work on hand technique, but we really work on the psychology of being a conductor. What does it mean to stand on the podium, convince people? What does it mean to be open? What does it mean to be a vessel for the music rather than being personal? How to go to the impersonal and allow the music to sort of come through you.
Amazing, yeah. Because I think also artists have to be teachers, not teachers for other artists, but teachers for the audience, you know?
And the patrons and the board and the sponsors and everything. In fact, it's funny you say that. About 6 months ago, one day I was just a little bit tired. Most of the time I'm completely on board, but I was just a little tired. And I said to my executive director in Windsor, Ontario, where I also work in Canada, I said, I just wish I didn't have to spend so much time convincing people how much they should love this. But that was just one day,
I
a
totally
little week.
get that frustration.
Yeah.
But now I think this is wonderful, and I would love to hear more about that, about these summer schools, or what you summer courses that you do, because this is something that I'm very passionate about, and that is the education for children for music.
Mhm.
And of course, you like you say, it's not just for the music students, but to take as a lesson, or to take as a skill to go through life and do other things as well. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
great. Good, but we'll talk about that again. I think we have to.
I'd love
But
that.
let's talk about this project that I have been talking to Farhad and Jeffrey, who are both also involved, and they told me that you are also involved.
Yes.
So tell me more about this project and this composition.
So even before the project or the composition, I receive all the time inquiries from composers. And I received a Facebook inquiry from Farhad, and he said, I'm this composer, I live in Iran, I'd love for you to hear my music. So he sent me a piece. It was a string orchestra piece. I listened to it and I thought, this is really beautiful, profound, interesting, creative music. And so I asked him if we could get our hands on it in Windsor, and we ended up performing it in concerts around Windsor. I think about 6 or 8 concerts. And we loved the piece. The audience loved the piece. It all worked very well. On the other side of it, Jeffrey Biegel and I have collaborated on another project, a Harbison piano concerto years ago. And so he and I have known of each other and worked together before. So when he and Farhad teamed up and asked about this piece, I absolutely said yes right away. I'm 100% behind the idea of it. There are a couple of reasons. One is Farhad's music is great. 2 is Jeffrey's a great artist. But it's always been my sense, my feeling, that when we can cross culture and bring cultures together in a way that is authentic to both arts and both organizations, then we have something really powerful. And I felt like Farhad's music really translates well into an orchestral medium. So that was taken care of. The second thing is we have a very large Persian community in Windsor. Windsor is actually the 4th most diverse city in Canada per capita.
Really?
And I'm not sure if you know much about it, but it's a border city. So we're right across the river from Detroit. So we're right on the US border. And there are people literally from all over the world. You walk down the street and it's not unusual to hear 10 or 15 different languages in a city of 300,000 people. So it's not, this is not a huge city. And so any chance that I can to sort of bridge this gap for people, that's what I would like to do. A couple of years ago, we had a duo join us, Comanche and cello, called Comancello and cello instruments. And they played a piece with the orchestra, and it was a huge success. People had never heard of Comanche before, and how it all came together. So there's a desire in Windsor to see the sort of cross-pollination and cross-cultural connections. So all that was the background for Farhad and Jeffrey asking me to join in on this, and I said absolutely 100% right away. So we would have premiered it earlier than 22, 23, but Canada is a little bit slower getting the vaccinations out and getting things set up.
Oh, okay.
So our chorus is not ready to get together and start singing yet. And that's the only thing that's holding us back at this point, is we just have to wait for the chorus to catch up, which I think it will by the end of this year. And so by next season, I think we'll have no problem premiering the work.
And now in this orchestra and in the chorus, is it also different cultures? Is it also representative then of Windsor?
So yes and no. It's like mini orchestras. It's a little more homogenous than you might hope for. Although I will say that in our orchestra, we have people, I would say we probably have a third of the orchestra for whom English is their second language. And I don't just mean French speakers, but, I'm thinking we have people native Polish, definitely native Chinese, Korean. We have people really from around the world who live in Canada. Most of our orchestra is made up of Canadians, even though we're on the US border. And so but in terms of diversity of, like perhaps racially diverse, we're not as diverse as we could be.
Yeah.
And the chorus itself is not super diverse.
And now the language that the chorus has to sing, this is also, what is the language that it's written in?
Farsi.
Okay.
So it'll be sung in Farsi. And Farsi. As far as I know, I don't know, actually, I should say, I don't know if anyone in the chorus speaks Farsi, but our chorus master, whose name is Bruce Kotovich, Bruce Bruce has been training and conducting choirs for decades now, and he's used to preparing choirs in languages other than ones that they speak or know of. And Farhad will be sending a tape, a recording of the proper pronunciation of the whole piece. And so the chorus will spend 6 months preparing just the language of the piece. But it'll be a new experience completely to sing in Farsi.
Because I don't know the sound of it, and I think it's so. I mean, we're so used to this the typical languages that we hear the music in, and this would be very interesting to hear the sound of.
Yeah.
Of
well, actually, Petra, kind of like German, it has a little bit of a guttural quality to it in places, but it's also melodious. It's an interesting combination, and so I don't know yet for sure, but my guess is that it's not going to be much more complicated than singing in German. Because you know how, I mean, singing in German is not the easiest thing to do when you start.
No. Well, I'm actually Afrikaans. I'm not German. I speak Afrikaans and English, and I'm speaking German's kind of in my own little way.
Okay. But you're in Vienna, right? Or no?
I'm in Vienna, yeah. Okay. I make it up as I go along. But it's working fine. I think people understand me. But yeah, I think the sound of languages are so different when we sing it. I just think compared, Afrikaans compared to, say, for instance, English or German, it has a total different sound.
Yes, I think that's exactly right. And once you start placing it in a different part of your body, different part of your head or throat, it changes how you sing, right? So it really is a process of, I wouldn't say relearning how to sing, but learning how to sing in that sort of different part. But that's also one of the great joys of doing a piece like this, is that the musicians, the orchestra, the chorus gets to experiment and explore and learn something new about their voice and their body and their head and how it all sort of fits together.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm so looking forward to this concert, or to hear the final piece, because I think it's it sounds wonderful.
Well, and actually, Petra, I'll be honest, next year all of our concerts will be live streamed, and I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't happen in the year after. So there may be a really good chance that even if you're not in Windsor, Ontario, if you don't find yourself in Windsor in Canada, that you may still be able to hear it online.
Well, I think this is a great advantage that we had during the lockdown. On the one hand, that this type of getting music out into the world, now we can connect from different parts of the world, connect with orchestras and performances. So I know live performances are still the best way, but I mean, like something like this would be so lovely to be able to just hear and have an idea of what it's about.
And to share around the world. I completely agree. COVID-19 for me and for the Windsor Symphony has really expanded our way of thinking. We actually so our theater is owned by the city of Windsor, and we're the main tenant, and they built over the years a production studio, not for us, but for other tenants. And so we have a full production studio. We actually have staff that man it. And so it all sort of comes together. And so we can stream, we can live stream, we can do digital concerts.
No, that's wonderful that possibilities is there. Tell me, can you see something positive already coming out of this pandemic for you and for the orchestra?
Yes. I mean, the biggest thing is that so in the fall, we did a digital concert series, 12 concerts, and we had, I think, 1,100 houses subscribe to it. 500 of them were new to us. So there were people throughout our community, and most from our community, who were interested in experiencing the Windsor Symphony Orchestra from home rather than going to the hall. So what that made us realize is that there's a whole world out there of people who really enjoy, live experience obviously is fantastic, but really enjoy the experience of seeing it online in their own. So we drop them Netflix style, so you can watch any order, you can watch them all at once, you can watch them over
Yeah.
time, whatever you desire, and it gives people maximum flexibility, which is really nice. So
I
I think
yeah,
that,
yeah.
yeah.
I do think this online presence was going to change something, you know, and making people more inquisitive. And of course, when they hear the music and be sort of thinking, well, why don't we try and go to a concert or at least know of, you know? Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and it'll be interesting to see if that's what happens next. So, you know, those 500 people may decide, oh, well, I like that much more than I thought I would. I want to try it live.
Yeah.
Also, we in Windsor developed a new series before COVID called On Stage, where we had the orchestra sit on stage and we had tables around the orchestra. It was very informal for an hour. We had bars in the wings and people could ask questions and get up and have drinks and blah, blah, blah. And so our digital concert series was kind of based on that model. And so coming out of it, we may change the ratio of typical concerts to on-stage concerts because people really seem to resonate with that style of concert.
This is fascinating that you can move between the orchestra basically, or around the orchestra then.
Around. Yeah. So we have bistro tables, little, just like a cafe. And so we have 100 people sitting around us. And what I do is I play the music one movement at a time as opposed to the full piece. And then I introduce each movement, what to listen for. People, if they have questions, they just raise their hand, ask the question. Halfway through, I say, does anybody want a drink? They'll say yes. They'll get up and get in line. The intermission is officially over once the line has gone away at the bar, because I'm standing right there, I can see it. And then people come back and we continue on with some more music. It's really been interesting. And what's really been interesting is I do music, like I do Baroque music, I do suites from Handel or Purcell, we do romantic music, we do whatever. It's the music doesn't matter as much as long as I bring people into the music. So the kinds of music, people are really diverse in what they're willing to listen to and interested in listening to.
And this is also something that I think is important, that this communication about the music, that people like me, for instance, who don't have the knowledge, but then the moment I hear something explained or something, the story behind or something like that, it makes me listen in a different way. And I think this is the way that, like you say, drawing the people in and you know, connecting in a different way, not just connecting with the music, but connecting before the music already, you know, with the audience.
Absolutely, no question. And I always tell my students, and I feel this, of course, that our job is to build a bridge to the audience. The audience isn't going to build a bridge to us to see what we're doing. We have to build a bridge to the audience. And so that's the way the job works. That's the way the art form works. And that's our role. And I love it. I find it very fascinating and interesting because you find these little hooks that get people sort of interested in something, and you never know what they're going to be. You know, for instance, next year, we're doing, in addition to our live streamed concerts, and we'll have some live audience, we're doing another digital concert series. But this series is partnered with a food historian, and he is going to teach the audience for each episode how to make a dish that would have been prevalent during the time the music was written and in the place.
Oh, wow. That
so
I want to know when that is. Are you streaming this? Because this is
so that's purchased.
Robert,
you can purchase
this is amazing. Oh, I love it. I love what you do.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So for instance, we're doing a piece of an opera, La Serva Padrona, from Naples by Pergolesi. And so he is going to teach the audience how to make a pizza rustica, an 18th century no sauce pizza pie that would have been prevalent and popular in Naples in the mid 18th century.
This is fantastic. Now I want to I want to see that.
You want to eat, don't you?
I wish I could eat that. But when do you say that will be done?
So that will appear in January.
Okay.
So we're going to record that in the fall when we get back, and those will happen in January. And actually, We were supposed to do it this past spring, but we had a new lockdown in Canada, which shut everything down. So we've pre-recorded all the chef things and all of my things, and all now we have to do is record the music and slide it in, and then it'll be ready.
Oh, this is great. Okay, I'm going to make a note of it.
Yeah, WindsorSymphony.com. If you go there, you'll see, and you can actually just sign up for your email, and it'll pop into your email when it
That's
appears.
a great idea. That's a great idea that I'm going to do. Good, and I'm going to stalk you and ask you to talk again about this when the time comes.
Perfect, and I will definitely subscribe to your YouTube channel.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you so much, Robert. It was so lovely to talk to you. I think the work you were doing there is great, and I think this summer school or summer workshop that you're doing for the youth, that's lovely that you do that. I think it's such great. You know, it's these little. I think it's little seeds that gets planted, and you know, that creates then new audiences. You know, people with a broader knowledge and so much more. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay. I will not keep you longer because I know you have to rush. But we'll speak soon.
I look forward to it. Take care. Have a nice day.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.